Geula mindset, redemption, redemptive, higher consciousness of God as he's beyond the limitations of the world. And he was able to help people realize that even if they're in a dark place, they're not limited by that darkness. They're not limited by the limitations of their Egypt. They can break out of their Egypt. They can come out of their limitations. And even in the darkness, they can experience a higher level of consciousness of Geula. And it's very interesting that the Rebbe is telling us that, because the Rebbe said, he mentioned that this is similar to what the previous Rebbe did. The previous Rebbe was also leader for 70 years. Now, whenever the Rebbe talked about the previous Rebbe, he's always talking about himself. That's how it was for all the years that the Rebbe was leader. He didn't say, I'm the leader. He said, my father-in-law is the leader. So, but really everybody knew that he's talking about himself, because he obviously was the leader of, and is the leader of our times. So when the Rebbe is talking about how a leader, what he accomplished and what he accomplishes, the Rebbe is talking about himself. And so what he mentioned about a true leader, a true Nasi, like Rebbe Elazar ben Azariah, is able to help people come out of their limitations, their darkness, their Egypt, their constraints of limitations. Mitzrayim means constraints and limitations, and help them see and bring a Geula experience into wherever they are. Now the Rebbe says it's not just that each day we're able to take another baby step that will make us so that one day in the future we'll be kind of saved, and God will save us, and we'll be in a better state of being. No, the Rebbe says no. That's not the point. The point that what a Nasi, what a leader can help each of us do, each one of us do now, here and now, is that in the darkness, in the exile, we can transform our experience from a dark experience to a higher consciousness experience, and live Geula, live with the consciousness of an awareness of the unlimited, the breaking out of the boundaries, being not limited by the boundaries of the exile, and being in this consciousness of the mindset of God is beyond the limitations of this world, and we're beyond the limitations of this world. And all these teachings that the Rebbe has been teaching us, especially from 1990 to 1992, of this mindset of having the mindset of a higher awareness, higher consciousness of God as he's not limited with the confines and the bounds and the rules of the world as we've known it until now. The constraints of a defined world, the way God created the world with its limitations. But we're able to get beyond that God is not limited by his dimensions of limitations and the laws of nature that God created. So this is the consciousness that the Rebbe wants us to be on, and to keep developing that consciousness. And that's, he says, what Rebbe Elazar ben Azariah was able to do with his students, be able to, and that's why he allowed everybody in, because that everybody can come to that consciousness, not only special people who were born with special souls and had higher levels of awareness or special education, or were able to manifest, very high levels of consciousness anyway. Rebbe said, Rebbe Elazar ben Azariah let everybody come into the Beis Medrash and experience this experience of a Geula consciousness, of remembering and learning and experiencing Geula at nighttime, meaning in the darkness. That's why he says it's only when he became a Nasi, when he became a leader, that he was able to understand why we mention the going out of Egypt at night, which the Rebbe explains. The going out of Egypt, the whole point of going out of Egypt was to bring us to the Geula, to bring us to the complete consciousness. And this level of consciousness is something that it's not a matter of time, that one day we'll get there. It's a matter of now. Here and now we can be on that level of consciousness if we're connected to the Nasi, the teachings of the leader, and understanding God as beyond limitations, and our soul as beyond limitations. So let's see it inside. I gave you kind of a synopsis of the main point that I got from this talk. Welcome, Alyssa, and welcome, Sarah. Good to have you. So we're doing this Sikha of Shemot 57-52, where the Rebbe is talking about how we can be unlimited, basically. Even if it's dark, even if we're feeling darkness, we're experiencing darkness, we're experiencing limitations, we're feeling stuck maybe, we're feeling like we can't do whatever it is that we want to do. We're feeling that it's impossible. We're feeling whatever it is on a spiritual, emotional, physical, any type of constraints. That's our limitations of Mitzrayim. So I'm gonna just bring it to you from the middle of the talk, not from the beginning. Okay. Just like this. Okay. Coming out of Egypt, was something new that opened up an ability to have redemption forever later on. It wasn't just something that happened many years ago, but it opened up the ability to have a redemption forever, including, the Rebbe says, the final and complete redemption in the future. More than that, it says that if the Jewish people would merit, the going out of Egypt could have been the final exodus, where Hashem would be the king forever. We wouldn't never had to, experience any other exile. It could have been the Jewish people would have gone to the sea. They would have sung the song of the sea, and that right away, going to the complete redemption in Israel, in the land of Israel, without any problems, no destruction afterwards. However, the Rebbe says certain things they did, and they didn't merit that. But what the Rebbe says, the truth of the concept of God taking us out of Egypt was coming out of Egypt was really, the whole purpose was to have Yemos HaMashiach, the days of Mashiach, the days of the future, which is the true and complete redemption. The goal wasn't to have to continue suffering for many, many years. The goal was to really bring about this Geula as soon as possible. So the real true inner meaning of the days of Mashiach is coming out of Egypt. So the two are very, very, very connected. Coming out of Egypt, welcome Linda, was to be in this redemptive state and the complete redemption. Now, until the full and complete redemption comes in actuality, the Rebbe says, the whole time in between the redemption from Egypt until the future redemption, the Rebbe says, these are all the days of your life. During this Ba'olam Hazeh, this world, a person still needs to remember the day that you went out of Egypt, right? There's a commandment in the Torah to remember every day, Tizkor Yom Tzad, remember the day that you came out of Egypt. And that includes all the days of from the first days of the redemption from coming out of Egypt until the true and final complete redemption that will happen speedily in our days. These are all the days of coming out of Egypt, meaning the Rebbe is saying coming out of Egypt wasn't 3,334 years ago. The coming out of Egypt is now, is a process that's happening now. It's been going on for 3,334 years. Okay, so we're now in the days of coming out of Egypt. Now, since coming out of Egypt, its internal aspect is really for the coming of Mashiach, the days of Mashiach. Therefore, remembering Egypt all the days of your life, that's as we're told, like in the Haggadah, in the Mishnah and the Haggadah, it's quoted, all the days of your life includes in it also to bring the days of Mashiach. So, meaning we're now, the Rebbe is connecting the coming out of Egypt, the true and complete redemption, and this moment now that we're in now, today, at this second, is all one thing. He's putting past, present, and future into one concept. It's all the same concept. The coming out of Egypt then was for the future redemption, and which is happening now at this moment. It's a state of being, okay? We're in the state of being and coming out of Egypt in order to come to the days of Mashiach right now. Okay? It's not the first time the Rebbe is putting past, present, future all at once, connecting. Okay, so the Rebbe does that also with time, not just with time, but also with space. He connects all space in other talks. Okay, so we've talked about this a little bit before. You can go on my YouTube channel, Beis Chana YouTube channel, the Beis Chana channel that has a picture of me from a few years ago. Hi, welcome, Sarah, and welcome, Fruma. Fruma's coming on. Welcome, Fruma. So we just mentioned that the Rebbe is taking the idea of coming out of Egypt, the concept, which is the idea of going out of our limitations. He's saying the whole point of it was for the future redemption, and that's happening right now. So the Rebbe is connecting past 3,334 years ago with the future, with right now. It's all one concept. And the Rebbe, I said, mentions that, also does that in other places. He talks about that, how to connect past, present, future, and time and space, how all dimensions of space. And that, you go to my YouTube channel, Beis Chana. Okay, to see other times he spoke about it. I don't remember which time he spoke about it, so you'll just have to watch everything if you want to get to it. I'm sorry, I don't have it yet, unless somebody wants to go and figure out which one I said what and which one we learned what, you can, in the meantime, just watch them all. There's not that many posted. Okay, so anyway, from this we understand the Rebbe says, it says we should mention the coming out of Egypt in the days of Mashiach too. We can understand, coming out of Egypt we want to mention now because we want to remember the past and the energy and the influence and the inspiration and the miracles. We want to remember that today, or try to experience that again now. The Rebbe says, no, we're supposed to also experience that coming out of Egypt and mention it in the days of Mashiach. Why would we have to mention the first redemption at the times of Mashiach? Times of Mashiach will be on a much, much higher level of consciousness. And everything that we experience of going out of Egypt would be like, it would seem much lower level than something of the past. So the Rebbe says the reason is, the coming out of Egypt is the beginning, and it's also the inner dimension of the days of Mashiach. It's not just something that happened and we can forget about it because it was, it's not relevant anymore. It is the inner meaning, the inner dimension of the true and complete redemption. That's one. Number two, the Rebbe says, coming out of Egypt adds something, also a chiddush, something new in the days of Mashiach. There's an advantage of coming out of Mitzrayim, coming out of Egypt, as it was in actuality. And because they weren't able to have immediately the true and complete final redemption, there is something of all the process that we've been going through since the time of Mitzrayim until the times of Mashiach. There's something in it that's part of this whole process of the Geula, because something's going on during this process of us going through this process of all this exile that has in it a dimension that brings something new into the days of Mashiach also. So meaning it's not just that, oh, too bad, we have to struggle and there's no meaning to it, God forbid. The Rebbe is saying whatever is going on now is part of the process, and it's bringing something new into the process of the days of Mashiach. It's adding something to the dimension of the days of Mashiach. Welcome. Sorry, I can't see your name. Fran, and welcome. I don't see your name yet. Somebody else is coming. Okay, I don't recognize you, but you have a nice, looks like you know how to do some stretching and exercise. So welcome whoever you are. Okay, we're talking about how we can connect a time. The Rebbe is connecting here the previous redemption when we came out of Egypt. There's something about that experience of going out of our limitations on a spiritual level, and what we're experiencing now that's actually adding a dimension into our experience in the future of the future times when everything will be clear and there won't be any concealment, there won't be any breakthroughs and needing to go beyond and experience the pain of breaking through our limitations and wherever we're stuck and hurt. There's something in this process that we're going through now of this pain of darkness that's going to bring something additional, a chiddush, something new, an elevated experience to the final and complete redemption, when we'll be in this higher state of consciousness and everything will be clear and understood and nothing will be confusing or limiting. Okay? So, let's see inside. Remembering the coming out of Egypt and the times of the future is really, at that time, times of the future, times of Mashiach, times of Lasi Glava, and the future times will be not the main aspect of our consciousness and our relations, will be part of it. The Rebbe puts in parentheses, the main experience of like the difference between the future times and the times of Galus is that we won't be subject to the nations of the world ruling over us and stopping us from doing, serving God. It's called Shi'abud Malchus in Hebrew. So in the times of Geula, we will not be subject to the rulership of other nations stopping us from serving God. And the going out of Egypt, that will be the main new thing, the main chiddush, the main wonder and wonderful experience on a physical level. And the fact that we left Egypt will be part of the wonder, but it won't be as great of a wonder. Welcome to
Does
Oh,
that
no,
include our?
what?
Does that include our internal forces that stop us also, like not just
Yes,
external?
right, right. So in the right, you can translate it for internal, external. Right here, the Rebbe is mentioning in parentheses, it's we will be remembering the times of coming out of Egypt, and but that will be like not the main new thing of it, but it will still be included in the consciousness of the times of Mashiach. The main consciousness, the main revelation times of Mashiach will be the true and complete redemption that's above and beyond any sort of limitations. We won't be having to break through our limitations in the times of Mashiach. We won't need to be struggling to find God in the darkness anymore. It will be all clear. Everything will be revealed. Nothing will cover up on our awareness of godliness. That's the future consciousness. But still, we will be mentioning in the future coming out of Egypt as a side thing, because the advantage and the greatness of the Geula, of the true and complete redemption, is really beyond any sort of limitations, any sort of measurements. It will be like there won't be any ruach tuma, there won't be any evil impurity over the land. There won't be any things that are making it us having to struggle to see God. And godliness will be drawn down all the days of your life in the existence of how we are in this physical world.
I don't know. Yeah, he said that the thing was broken.
Yeah, whoever's unmuted, please mute yourself.
But he said that something's broken.
Yeah, if somebody can please mute yourself. Thank you. Okay. Can you please unmute, please, whoever's unmuted? Okay. So there's something about our past experiences of being in the darkness and having to struggle that is relevant at all times, even in times of Mashiach. It's still going to be something that's going to be part of the experience of the Geula, but it's not going to be the main aspect. The main aspect of Geula is everything's clear, everything's wonderful, everything's understood. God is our consciousness about God will be very clear and relevant and meaningful and awesome. And we won't have to really, it won't take a lot of work for us to have to overcome our limitations in order to connect to a higher level of consciousness and godliness and awareness and joy and delight. Everything will be joyful and delightful just at that time, naturally. But there will still be the awareness of the coming out of Egypt that we did experience, that we did have that breakthrough, that we did have our aha moments, we did have that struggle. That will still be in our consciousness. It will still be part of that we did it, like we accomplished it, we managed it, we did it, okay? So it will be still part of that wonderful moment and experience of the revelations of the Geula, that we did go through the struggles and we did go through the darkness and we did have our coming out of our Egypt, and that's part of the experience of Geula also. It's not the main aha moment of the Geula, but it's part of it, okay? So the Rebbe doesn't go into much detail. The way I'm explaining it is the way I understand it. Okay, but let's continue inside. But from this we understand what the rabbis were saying when they said that we have to mention all the days of your life. We have to mention coming out of Egypt all the days of your life. And when they say all the days of your life, the rabbis explain that means also at night. What's night? Night is the night of exile. Night is when it's dark. And the rabbis say, when we mention coming out of Egypt, they say, Kol Yamecha, all the days of your life, means that you're also mentioning it in the times, this brings to the times of Mashiach. What does it mean, all the days of your life in this world, whether it's days, whether it's night and exile, there is, what the Rebbe says, aside from going out of our own limitations and Egypt, there is a Geula that's not complete yet, but it's a level of coming out of Egypt in its true sense, meaning there's two levels right now, here and now. There's a level of coming out of our limitations, and then there's a level of the expansion of the days of Mashiach, which is the true and final complete redemption, which has no exile afterwards. Meaning when we came out of Egypt, there was still some residue left of impurity, of unholiness, of blockages, of covering up. Things weren't 100% clear and understood. And even though they saw a tremendous amount of miracles, and God took them out of a very horrible, evil place, and lots of bad things going on with them, and brought them into a redemptive state, brought them to the land of Israel, there still was unholiness in the world. Not all the nations of the world were affected by their higher level of consciousness. They were kind of whisked out of Egypt. They left behind a dark Egypt. Now, later on in the Sikha, the Rebbe is going to say, in the times of true and complete redemption, that's not necessarily going to be the case. The whole world is going to be affected by the level of consciousness of the world, of our understanding and our consciousness, and God be revealed, not just to us, God be revealed to everyone. And we can see that this is an awareness and a consciousness that's happening right now. Everybody can study about God. Everybody can go on the internet and learn everything they want. Everybody is on a level of being able to receive higher levels of awareness of godliness if they want to. It's not impossible. Seeing godliness revealed around the globe is a real thing in our times. I lived in times pre-internet when that didn't seem like that could happen. How it seemed like it would take a huge, huge miracle for everybody in the world to know about God. Now, maybe now it also seems like a huge miracle, but it's much less of a miracle when you have the internet. Okay, so we're in a state of like, we are really in a place where we can actually see that these miracles of God being revealed around the world are taking place now, and we can see how it can happen at any second. Any second, people can change their mindset, change their awareness, get their aha moments, have their coming out of Egypt, and be in this redemptive consciousness of God is really not limited. There is a God not limited by the limitations of the world. There is a creator. There's a God Almighty. He's creating the world, sustaining it. He's making it happen and exist. And the levels of consciousness are not limited to what we have perceived until now. Of God is limited by certain limitations of the rules of nature that He created. So anybody can come to that consciousness at any time, even non-Jews, Jews, everybody, the 70 nations. So that's there is a little bit of a difference between that then, when we came out of Egypt, and our experiences now. Then, not the whole world was affected. Now, the whole world is being affected, and so the redemption is for the whole world. Okay, let's look inside. Okay. I'm translating from the Hebrew, so it's I'm also trying to figure out what to bring, what not to bring. Okay. Okay, so the Rebbe says something. I'll translate it, see if we get it or not. When the Rebbe says we're supposed to bring to the days of Mashiach. Lahavili Masa Mashiach is the words that the rabbis use in this story about Rebbe Lazar ben Azariah. They're quoting the Mishnah that we're supposed to mention coming out of Egypt in order to bring to the days of Mashiach. So the Rebbe says this service of remembering coming out of Egypt, right? Remembering that we came out of our limitations, our exiles, our problems, is all the days of your life. We're supposed to do it, right? The rabbis are discussing what does it mean you're supposed to mention coming out of Egypt all the days of your life. It means in this world, we're supposed to remember this. And this, what does this do? It brings the days of Mashiach into our consciousness right now, here and now. So meaning right here now, while we're in exile and we're remembering the coming out of Egypt and how the coming out of Egypt is for the process, is for the days of Mashiach, is the whole purpose of coming out of Egypt was for the days of Mashiach. That brings a level of Mashiach consciousness, days of Mashiach consciousness right now, to the here and now. Like we said, the Rebbe says we're connecting past, present, and future. It's all for one purpose of revealing godliness on the highest level right now. And we can be on that level right now. Number two, this actually brings in actuality that in your days of your life, we will have the completion of the days of Mashiach. And the Rebbe says all the days of Mashiach, including all the different stages of the coming of Mashiach, because there's different stages of the revelations of Mashiach. And the Rebbe says to bring to all the days of your life means that all the days of your life in actuality, we can experience the coming Mashiach now in all its levels, and the true and final complete redemption now. So there was saying two things. One is we can experience it on a conscious level of our mindset, our awareness. We can experience redemption in the here and now. And then number two, the Rebbe says we can actually experience it through remembering and the coming out of Egypt right now, and that the whole purpose of coming out of Egypt is to bring to the days of Mashiach. We can actually, that will bring about the experiencing, in actuality, the days of Mashiach in our times. Okay? So both on a conscious awareness level and in a physical level. Having this consciousness brings about both possibilities. Let's continue inside. Okay. We can understand more something, that this happened through, when did this whole consciousness to bring to the days of Mashiach, and he said, right, what Elazar ben Azariah said, now I understand why we mentioned coming out of Egypt that night. This whole higher level of awareness and this teaching came when he became the Nasi, when he became the leader of the Jewish people. The day that he said, I didn't understand this until I became the leader. What's this chidush, this newness of him being a Nasi, being a leader, and he's above it, he's risen up in a higher spiritual level. His whole point of being a leader is to connect and unite all the days of your life of each and every Jew and of the whole Jewish people together with their physical life and their experiences during the time of exile and all their pain and suffering that they went through, to bring into a level of coming out of their limitations in general, and specifically to come to the days of Mashiach with the true and complete redemption. Meaning it's Dafka the Nasi, the Rebbe says, it's specifically the leader of the generation. He has the power to connect, to unite the exile with the redemption, right? The painful limitations and coming out of our bondages and our Egypt, coming out of our problems and our situations and our stuckness, right? And bringing Geula. That is the power of the leader of the generation to help everybody in his generation experience that. Like Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah was able to open up his base medrash and allow everybody to come to learn with him, because he was able to, as the Nasi, as the leader, he was able to elevate everybody to a higher level of consciousness. So more specifically, the Rebbe says the Nasi can help people connect. They're going out of their personal Egypt, their personal coming out of their stuck and limitations, and experiencing the days of Mashiach without having to have any stop or block in the meantime. Like we know when we came out of Egypt in the past until the future, there's a passage of time, and a lot of, the Rebbe says we can experience our in a spiritual sense, our coming out of Egypt and the redemption of the future consciousness in one split second. We don't have to have a stop of a lot of pain in the meantime, or hesitation, or taking time, or processes. We can experience our redemption and our Geula experience all at the same time. The Rebbe says we can experience this as a person in a body, a soul in a body, a physical body, in a coarse physical body that's attached to the physicality and attached to the desires of this world, and we can experience it in our exile, in this physical world. We can actually go out of our Mitzrayim and Volim, our limitations, our Egypt, and more than that, we can stand in a situation, in a matzav, holding in the days of Mashiach. And therefore, it was specifically the day that Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah became the leader, and he was talking about this concept of, that's talked about, right, in the Mishnah and the Gemara, that have coming out of Egypt. We mention it also at night, and that brings to the days of Mashiach, which means that what he was teaching is that in each and every one of us can have our painful experiences, and at that moment, experience the redemptive qualities and awarenesses at that same instant. And there doesn't have to be any time in between. We can feel like our breakthrough, our aha moment, our awarenesses, and immediately come to the days of Mashiach. Because really, those being in a state of exile and pain and suffering, whatever it is, the whole point of it is to have this Geula. So person, I'm going to interpret it into a little bit of, like let's say a person might say, oh, why am I such a low level? I'm not on this high spiritual level. I don't feel connection to God so much. I don't feel like I can jump into everything that God wants me to do, blindly. I don't feel I'm on this level that I want to be. Okay, so that's a stuck level mentality. Okay, that's not a higher consciousness awareness. A higher consciousness awareness, what the Rebbe wants us to experience, is that this part of being stuck, feeling limited, is part of our process. It's an essential part of our process. It's our breakthroughs. And we, at that moment that we have our breakthrough, that's it. We're in Geula. We're not like, oh, I had such a struggle. I must be such a bad person because it was so hard for me because I couldn't, it took me so long to come to this awareness, and I'm still feeling a little like I'm not on the level that I should be. Okay, so the Rebbe says, no. Every time we have a breakthrough, every time we have a Yetzias Mitzrayim, going out of our Egypt, we can experience immediately that this whole process, this whole painful experience was in order to come to this Geula state, to be in awareness that we're in right now. It's all part of the process. It's all meant to be. It's not wasted time, or we had a wasted life, or we did bad things and we're bad, and therefore that's who we really are, and now what we're experiencing is not our true us. No, that whole process of everything we've gone through, all the pain and suffering, all the breakthroughs, it's all part of now that we're now feeling and can experience Geula. We can experience redemption. We can experience the highest levels of consciousness of God is with us beyond any limitations right now, which is a Geula state of consciousness. And this awareness also brings us that will experience, and the whole world will experience this experience in actuality. So it's 12:44. So I'm going to stop speaking right now. And I want to see if anybody has questions or comment. And if you want to continue this more, we can maybe continue this next week because Dev has a lot more to say on this, but it's 12:44. And I want to hear what you have to say or what you have to ask. Anybody want to chip in? You're welcome to. Welcome.
Can you kind of like sort of elaborate a little bit like this personal geula where you're going through a hard thing, you're going through some suffering, you're going through a difficulty, a gullus difficulty, not just like a spiritual thing where you don't think you're good enough, but you're actually going through something hard. And how does that come to your awareness that brings that geula? How do you move from one to the next? Like a little bit of a understanding. What's the Rebbe like saying? How do you get to that place?
The Rebbe is saying to be aware that is the process. The process of coming to Geula, of experiencing Geula, is going out of Egypt. You have to have that breakthrough, and you have to have that limitations that you had, and the feeling of disconnect, and feeling of not seeing God, and not being aware, and not being connected. And in order to come to it's all part of the process. It's not I was saying it's not two separate things. It's one continuum, and to a point that we'll even be experiencing it or remembering it in times of Mashiach, in the future redemption. That will be part of our awareness that we went through this, and that we had our Geula. We had our, even in times of coming out of time, times of Geula, we're going to be mentioning that we came out of Egypt. It's not going to be something of distant past that we want to just forget about. It was terrible, it was horrible, and we don't need it anymore. And if we can blot it out of our consciousness, that will be the most wonderful thing. No, we're going to be remembering it, because all this, what we're going through, is part of the process of bringing, of Geula, of higher awareness. Higher awareness includes everything that we did to break through the awareness also, break through our limitations. Now, it's not going to be the main part of our service. The main service will be higher, clear awareness without struggle. But we're going to still be remembering that that's part of the coming to the higher awareness, was through that process of coming out of Egypt.
Is there like a prescription of like pushing through the darkness to get into out of that Mitzrayim state and getting into the Geula state of mindset?
Well, it helps to learn all these, what we're learning, all these teachings of the Rebbe, understanding how God is.
So you're saying it's all a state of mind, even if someone's going through, God forbid, something that's difficult. You're saying it's a state of mind, or you could actually physically do something and get out of that. Like, let's say someone, God forbid, someone's in.
A state of mind brings you to action, to positive action. If you're in that state of mind, you're going to act on it too. You're going to think about it, you're going to feel it, and you're going to act on it. You're not going to just stay hopefully stuck in your head. You're going to live in that.
You have to try to do it with with a spiritual way to get Hashem to help you through it quickly, right? Like how do you do that and connect to it? So I'm saying, how do you use something to
So when
like
a
a
person,
speedboat, pushing them through out of that bad experience?
so each person is different and unique in their way of serving God, but everybody has opportunities to connect to God in myriads of ways all the time. We have all the Torah and all the mitzvahs and all the countless wonderful experiences of connecting to God at every moment. So each person, depending on who they are, where they are, what stage of life, what their neshama is here in the world, for what specific mitzvah they need to tune into at that moment, then there's many, many ways to connect to your higher level of consciousness through thought, speech, and deed at that moment. It's obviously we don't want to just stay detached in our mind. We want to bring it into our everyday life of how we experience life in this reality, in this tangible world right now, how we live our life at every moment.
I think it was significant that you were bringing about Rabbi Elazar Ben Azariah and his helping people get out of their Mitzrayim, like opening up the yeshiva for everybody. Like,
yeah, well, it says Nasi. Yeah,
what's that piece of the Nasi that could
okay,
help
us? Okay, so he's the leader, and he has the power, the Rebbe says, to unite and connect all souls together and to God. So we're fortunate to have, that's what I'm saying, the teachings of the Rebbe. He's the leader of our generation, and he has the power to unite us and connect us and to uplift us and to bring us to a higher level of consciousness. Right? You're in that class, right? We learn every day these sichos, because every day we need another understanding of a new awareness. Every day we're created anew, and every day we have a new a possibility of new awareness of serving God in a higher level of consciousness. But it takes focusing, it takes learning, it takes connecting to the words of the leader of the generation. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then every day we can have our breakthroughs and our higher levels of awareness. And the two are part of the process of living in the days of Mashiach, wherever and whenever we are, however we are. Yes. So it's so nice you all joined, Karen and Mikla and Linda and Sarah and Alyssa and Pruma and whoever you are that have this beautiful stretching pose, and Perla. Thank you for joining. Does anybody else have another question? Oh, there she is. I don't see, you're muted. You're muted. You're muted.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, Alyssa told me about it.
Alyssa, wonderful, wonderful. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
What's your name?
Chana.
Chana. Welcome, Chana. So nice to have you. And God willing, we're doing this every Sunday at 12. Oh, I have another class that I'm starting. I'm restarting the class with Ray from holysparks.com. Ray Shagalov, she has her creative group. She does creative coaching groups. And so we have, it's a Tanya class that we do a meditation and art. She's a calligrapher, and she's going to guide us into how to take the idea that I'm teaching from Tanya and put it on paper in an art form, and then we share our art form, and then we do meditation, and it's just kind of like bringing the higher consciousness also into actual, into our talents, into a physical form of art. So it's a fun class. So we're doing it Wednesdays at 5 o'clock. There's no charge. It's part of Beis Chana, and I'm not charging for it. So you can, if you want to see more, I'll update it more on beischanaca.com. But
where are you, in Los Angeles?
I'm in Los Angeles, in California, yeah. So if you get on my WhatsApp, I'll send you the...
So it's 5 o'clock Pacific time?
5 o'clock, yeah, LA time, yeah, Pacific time. And it's a different link than my regular link for this class. We use it. Maybe I'll put both. Maybe I'll put the... For those of you who may not be on my WhatsApp or anything, I'll put this WhatsApp for the Beis Chana, and Ray has also her, Zoom from Beis Chana. She also has another Zoom, but I'll put on both, God willing, so you don't miss out. We did it for about 6 months, from May till like October, until the high holidays, and then I took a break, right, to get married. And then, yeah, thank you. And so now we're going to finally restart it. So I'll tell you one little quick story about it. So Ray was asking me, what do you want to teach? And I said, really, I like to teach what I teach on Sundays, from the Rebbe. She says, well, the women in the class really want more of the foundational stuff. They want just something from Tanya, which is more the baby step. The concept's more elaborated on each idea in Chassidus, a little bit more elaborated on. And so I said, okay, so I'll do the Tanya. So she said, what are you going to do? So I said, you know what, I'll do chapter 32, because chapter 32 is about how to transcend and love every fellow Jew, and it's good for marriage, love your spouse, love each other, kumbaya, okay? So I said, okay, I'll do chapter 32. Then on Shabbos, I was in the synagogue just yesterday, and there was a Tanya in front of me. So I opened it up randomly, I was going to learn the Tanya for the day, because I learn a little bit of Tanya every day, right, the chitas of the day. And instead, it opened up to chapter 32. Okay? Where did it open up to? Chapter 32. So I said, okay, this is my sign. And actually, I was thinking in the morning, should I start preparing chapter 32 now, or should I learn what I really like, which is, these sichas I teach on Sunday. So on Shabbos morning, I woke up early, I was learning this. I wasn't learning chapter 32. And when I went to shul, and I just opened up a Tanya, it opened up to chapter 32. So I guess both classes are very important. And Rachel
Did you start yet?
No, we're starting this Wednesday at 5. And Ray told me that one of the reasons she really wants me to teach is because she has one woman in the class that is super religious, very knows a lot forever kind of thing. And there's one woman in the class who has very little background in Torah knowledge, and kind of like a beginner step of her understanding and awareness and learning. And she's just, and they both love the class. I taught it from May 30th until September, October. So she said they both equally liked it. So she said, I have to teach that class. I can't deviate and start doing the things. So we're going back to Tanya, basics, and how to bring it through meditation and art on Wednesdays at 5. So welcome to join that too. And our next, so right now these are the two classes I'm doing, the Sunday at 12 Pacific time on this, and Wednesday at 5. And I'm very happy to be able to share, and thank you for joining. And I'll make one more announcement. My husband is a sofer, so I'm now running around to Beverly Hills and all these places, putting up mezuzahs, getting my friends' husbands' tefillin checked. My husband can also even check Sefer Torahs and determine, if they need repairs, or if they need, he can do computer checks on mezuzahs, tefillin, and Sefer Torahs. And he's multi-talented. He didn't even tell me everything he can do until after we got married. I found out that he's written 4 Sefer Torahs. He's on his 5th one now. And he's I'm very, very grateful and very happy. Today, one of my friends who I've known since I'm 12, her husband has been sick with Parkinson's, unfortunately, and she said she wanted to know how much it costs to check his tefillin. So I said, send me a picture. I had a feeling. I said, maybe the straps or the shape of the tefillin might need some repair. The outside of, not just the checking of the inside. I said, send me a picture. I'll send it to him. He's in Israel right now, and he'll if you need new straps or new bati with the houses that hold it, he can purchase some for you. So anyway, she said, no, they're fine. Finally, she sent it to me. And today, I told her 5 days ago, send it. And it turns out the straps are totally worn out. They're not, the straps are not kosher. And what you didn't realize is if the straps are not kosher, the tefillin can't be laid. You can't make the blessing and put on tefillin. It doesn't have the spiritual connection that a kosher tefillin has. So I told her immediately, we have to get you new tefillin today. Don't wait till you get them repaired. And so my other friend's husband is rushing to get her some tefillin for her husband today so that he can have kosher tefillin today. So I'm very excited. I got to be part of that mitzvah, and it wouldn't have happened if my husband wasn't a suffering. So I got 4 mezuzahs up on the lady's house Friday, and I'm like, yay! The world's it's keeping me young. Put it that way. It's a wonderful experience to be able to.
Excuse me.
Yes.
excuse me. With regard to your friend that you said had Parkinson's,
Her husband has Parkinson's.
her husband has Parkinson's. I recently, in November, took a class by these two Israelis who, or one Israeli who had, anyways, this Israeli person who had come to teach they teach all over the world, and they have a program in Nahariya.
Oh.
And or Haifa, not Nahariya, Haifa, I believe.
Uh-huh.
And this rabbi, what they do is they've learned scalp acupuncture. It's called Yamamoto scalp acupuncture, and it is quite successful in helping neurological issues like Parkinson's and MS. And in fact, I was looking it up, and there was even a letter to the one of the medical associations about it, and that they were amazed that
Yes.
it was so helpful. So
Yes.
you might want to.
Can you send me the information, Perla, please?
I will.
I'll send it to her.
Will send you.
She's also
the link
she's a Chinese doctor too. This woman whose husband has Parkinson's is also a Chinese doctor.
Okay. Well, she may or may not know about.
I may not know, so send it to me. That'll be very helpful. She'll be very interested, I'm sure.
Yes, absolutely,
yeah. Absolutely. They're doing a lot of alternative medicine stuff.
Okay.
Here,
all right. I will send it to you. Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you, Perla. And how are you feeling, Perla?
Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem.
Good. Yeah, I think about you every day, Perla.
Thank you. I appreciate your thoughts, and you've been my teacher for umpteen years. So you brought me to Yiddishkeit.
We won't tell people how many years.
Oh my God, I don't even remember how many. Wait a minute. My daughter's 40, so it should have been.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. So at least about 40 years, I think.
No, less.
39.
No, less.
You know what you just said about the acupuncture with for Parkinson's. So I met some people who were in China, and the husband couldn't even walk. He had such bad Parkinson's, and they went to China and they did mixtures of herbs and acupuncture, and he got rid of his Parkinson's. Baruch Hashem.
Wow.
I mean, really incredible. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, you do now.
Yeah, yes. And there is this. I think it's National Institute of Medicine that there was a letter to them that was published on the internet with regard to this scalp acupuncture, Yamamoto's scalp acupuncture, that is done by these Israeli.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. You know, the way I see it is because her husband is getting new tefillin today to put on, to wear, instead of maybe this is why he's getting now this information, right? It's exactly direct. He did the spiritual side of it and putting on kosher tefillin today, and maybe already did it. He probably already did it, and now he's finding out about this new form that maybe he didn't know about before, and the two go together. Yeah.
I'll try and get that.
Miracles are happening. Okay, wonderful. Thank you. I love you all.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll see you.
Okay, take care.
Wednesday at 5.
Okay,
love you. Take care. Be well.
Yeah.